In Nine Perfect Strangers Season 2, Episode 3, things take a truly wild turn. Especially for Dolly de Leon's character Agnes. What started as a simple field trip quickly spirals into a heavy emotional roller coaster full of trauma, guilt, hallucinatory tea, and even a shocking arrest. The latest episode, which dropped on Wednesday, May 28th, dives deep into Agnes' past and unpacks her darkest secrets, including why she left behind her life as a nun. If you thought this retreat was about healing, think again. This journey is all about digging into pain before finding peace. If they can even make it that far. The episode opens with the guests being split up. Masha, played by Nicole Kidman, stays behind at the retreat center with the mysterious ninth guest, David Markstrong, while Martin Lucas Englander takes the other 8 retreaters into town. But this isn't a casual shopping trip. It's the official kickoff to Masha's controversial wellness protocol, which now involves psychedelic drugs. Once in town, Martin serves the group a herbal tea spiked with psychedelics. Most of the group has silly, almost childlike hallucinations. Peter, Henry Golding, and Imogen, Annie Murphy, imagine themselves as Peter and Heidi in a whimsical Swiss fantasy. But for Agnes, this trip is anything but lighthearted. It's disturbing. It's emotional. And it brings back memories she has spent years trying to forget. For Agnes, the psychedelic tea doesn't just make her see colors or funny visions. Instead, it sends her right back into a deep memory. A painful chapter from her past when she was both a nun and a nurse. As she hears church bells ringing in her hallucination, she follows the sound into a nearby church, and that's when the floodgates open. In a haunting flashback, we learn that Agnes still carries heavy guilt for the deaths of a pregnant woman and her unborn child. She had warned her superior, the mother superior, that something was wrong with the woman's pregnancy. But rather than act, the superior told Agnes to simply pray and leave it in God's hands. Tragically, both the woman and baby died. Agnes has been blaming herself ever since. Under the effects of the psychedelic tea, Agnes begins to seek out forgiveness. She stumbles into the confessional booth at the church, desperate to hear something, anything from God. But there's nothing. Just silence. No priest. No divine voice. Just Agnes alone with her guilt. What follows is both shocking and heartbreaking. She starts slamming her head against the wooden panels inside the booth. When Martin finds her later, she's bloodied and dazed, leading to her being arrested for the outburst. Martin rushes to bail her out, visibly shaken and blaming himself for not watching her more closely. But Agnes doesn't hold him accountable. She tells him that it's not his fault, that she is responsible for everything that happened. This marks a massive shift in her character. It's the first time we see Agnes not wallowing in shame but rather accepting her own pain as part of her journey. She's not looking for someone to blame anymore, not even God. Back at the retreat, we see another big change in Agnes. She's calm. She climbs into her bed to sleep, something she hasn't done until now. Before this, she always chose the floor, punishing herself by sleeping uncomfortably as a way to atone for her past. But this time she takes a moment to look at herself in the mirror, scars and all. It's symbolic. She's finally confronting herself, scars and all, and choosing rest instead of punishment. She falls into a deep, peaceful sleep, suggesting some inner healing has finally begun. Meanwhile, there's more chaos bubbling under the surface. Peter and Imogen are getting close, really close, and they sneak off to hook up. But the mood is ruined fast when they discover David, Peter's father, passed out in the room. Yeah, you read that right. Masha had placed David there on purpose, as some kind of twisted joke after he blacked out during an earlier cold plunge. David had skipped breakfast and missed the field trip, so Masha decided to spend the day with him. But her idea of bonding is different. Later, when Masha calls David, she questions whether he was rattled seeing Peter. David says no, but his body language tells a different story. Their father-son relationship clearly has a lot of emotional baggage. As they argue, the phone call cuts off. And that's when David notices something creepy. Masha is watching him through a camera in the bar. He flips her off and without missing a beat, she smirks, curses him out under her breath, and casually sips her own cup of psychedelic tea. Classic Masha. With this episode, Nine Perfect Strangers Season 2 goes from mysterious wellness retreat vibes to deep psychological chaos. Every character is slowly peeling back their layers, especially Agnes. Her confession about why she's no longer a nun is easily one of the most powerful and heartbreaking moments of the season so far. From the trauma flashback to her haunting church scene to her moment of reflection in the mirror, Agnes' journey is raw, emotional, and deeply human. Dolly de Leon absolutely shines in this episode. Her portrayal of Agnes is both vulnerable and strong, and you can feel every ounce of her guilt, her pain, and finally her choice to start healing. For viewers who have been wondering about her backstory, this episode finally delivers the answers. And it's more intense than anyone could have expected. And let's not forget Masha. While Agnes is working through her pain, Masha is pulling strings, playing mind games, and experimenting with people's emotions like they're part of her personal lab. It's clear that she has a special interest in David and his strained relationship with Peter. But her way of pushing them closer, like throwing them into uncomfortable situations and watching from a distance, raises a lot of ethical questions. Is she really helping them heal or just feeding her own ego? It's a question that fans will likely keep asking as the season continues. At the same time, the show does a great job of balancing these intense emotional arcs with lighthearted moments. Peter and Imogen's odd fantasy as Swiss cartoon characters brings some comic relief. But even their silliness is interrupted by very real emotional drama, especially once Peter has to deal with the unexpected father-son reunion. By the end of the episode, everyone is back at the retreat, physically safe but emotionally shaken. Some, like Agnes, are starting to heal. Others, like David and Peter, are just getting started on what promises to be a very bumpy ride. And then there's Masha, always watching, always calculating, and now tripping on her own batch of psychedelic tea. What could possibly go wrong next? Episode 3 of 9 Perfect Strangers Season 2 is an emotional gut punch wrapped in a psychedelic fever dream. It answers questions about Agnes' past, deepens the mystery surrounding Masha's methods, and sets up even more drama for the rest of the season. With characters cracking open emotionally, the show isn't just about healing. It's about surviving the unraveling process. If the rest of the season is anything like this episode, fans better buckle up.